Well, that's it. It's been fun, everybody, but full self-driving beta is done. Tesla has received a recall. They must recall full self-driving beta, meaning every Tesla vehicle has to be hauled away and crushed like the EV1 from GM. Okay, just kidding. Before too many people believe me and leave the video. This is just ridiculous. I had to make a video about this because yes, there was a recall related to full self-driving and full self-driving beta, but it's the same as everything we saw last year. Tesla had tons of recalls last year, mostly because those were all over-the-air software updates that the company could send out for free before you even got the legal notice in the mail that Tesla has to send out due to no change in regulations to kind of keep up with the times. And we have another one of these. Now I will say this one seems a little more direct and focuses on more things than we've seen in the past, and I actually really like it. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is a good thing for us as customers, but overall my kind of gripe here is more the response from the media and all the crazy like clickbait and hype, and you get into the article even and it's all this dramatization. The stock went down. I think it was due to more other things, but a lot of people thought this was part of it. The stock was down like 6% or something. And these things are just ridiculous. So I wanted to talk to you about these things, put the truth out there, like a clarifying lens where you can make your own decisions without everyone going, oh my gosh, Tesla's deadly self-driving software, which is like barely even seen an accident to this day. So this is titled Full Self-Driving Software May Cause Crash. And I think this is where you can get a lot of the hype and a lot of the, oh my gosh, this is a huge deal. But as you'll see, this is pretty much what we've gone through over the past over 2 years of using full self-driving beta. It's kind of just another software update where Tesla fixes something that's not quite working correctly. So it says full self-driving beta software that allows a vehicle to exceed speed limits or travel through intersections in an unlawful or unpredictable manner increases the risk of a crash. So that's kind of the general description of the complaint here from NHTSA. Now it's pretty interesting because by default, when you turn on full self-driving beta, if you've enabled it and you haven't changed any of the settings, the car actually will always follow the speed limit, unless of course it has bad data, say it reads the sign wrong or it has bad map data or something. If you change nothing in the settings, the car is always going to follow the speed limit to a T, except for one thing, which will be noted here. Now, another thing I should mention is this was an agreement between NHTSA and Tesla. This is not forced. This is something Tesla agreed with NHTSA on and said that they will fix. So the summary is Tesla is recalling certain 2016 through 2023, vehicles that have full self-driving, basically, equipped with beta software or pending installation. The full self-driving beta system may allow the vehicle to act unsafe around intersections, such as traveling straight through an intersection while in a turn-only lane. Now, yes, the car definitely can do this. One of the biggest complaints right now about beta is it's really bad in its lane selection. It will get into the wrong lane even feet before it needs to make a turn, say. It'll stay in the straight lane or move back to the straight lane if it is in the correct lane, or vice versa. It's supposed to go straight and it'll move into the turn lane on accident. Now, a lot of times recently, what I have noticed is the car is pretty good at picking up that it's accidentally in the, say, right turn lane, even though it's supposed to go straight. And even though the nav says to go straight, the car will make a right turn. I've shown this in a lot of videos. But sometimes the car can just go straight because it's following the nav, what it's being told to do, where it's being told to go, rather than looking at the streets around like you and I would do. Now, a lot of these things I feel like are much bigger human errors. And of course, like there's nobody, you can't like update all the humans and make them follow the law. That sounds terrible. But it's different than a self-driving car that can be updated to legally drive like it's supposed to. But this is a mistake that the car can make. And so basically Tesla's saying, we're going to fix it. Now that's really general. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, you're going to make the car self-drive correctly. Like that's kind of the whole point. That's what we've been aiming for. So it's kind of funny in that sense, but this is something I guess Tesla is gonna fix somehow. Full self-driving beta system may allow the vehicle to act unsafe. Another example of that is entering a stop sign controlled intersection without coming to a complete stop or proceeding into an intersection during a steady yellow traffic signal without due caution. So this is something NHTSA already kind of busted Tesla on a while ago. The car used to be programmed to roll stops just in the same way that a lot of people do. And I have actually been honked at more than once for coming to a complete stop. I know it sounds ridiculous and maybe you're like, oh, it was something else. So this intersection, again, Chill handled it perfectly. Average was bad. I had to push the accelerator, I think, through here because it just like would not go. So we make a complete stop, which is legal. See, we're getting honked at, and like there's somebody in this intersection. So NHTSA already kind of told Tesla to stop that. And from what I noticed, the car does seem to come to a complete stop. There are times where it's just barely. So maybe in those times the car's still going 1 mile per hour or something. But wow, they must be being really strict in their definitions here to think Tesla needs to update that again, because in my opinion, most of the time I am cringing because the car takes so long to move once it does make its complete stop, or to kind of get through an intersection with stop signs. And then going through an intersection with a steady yellow light, so they're basically saying sometimes it goes through when it should be stopping at the yellow. And this one, man, how do you judge that? Because if you're too close to the yellow and you slam on the brakes, that's no good either. And even driving as a human, I'm sure you've experienced this as well. Sometimes you're like, oh, should I stop? Should I go? Like, you know, you just feel like a little off. And how is the computer gonna do that accurately enough that NHTSA is gonna basically allow the system to keep existing as it does today? In addition, the system may respond insufficiently to changes in posted speed limits or not adequately account for drivers' adjustment of the vehicle speed to exceed posted speed limits. So this is a really big one that myself and many people have been complaining about forever, basically since beta existed. You'll pass a speed limit sign, say you're going 50 and the speed limit goes down to 40. The car will see that, and on the display, it will say max goes from 50 to 40, but the car takes like a quarter mile or a really long time to get down to that new speed. And even if you adjust it with a scroll wheel, the car takes a long time. And it's very strange that this has not been addressed. I think this is a super easy fix, and I think Tesla just never cared to do it, especially if you use basic autopilot. It actually does that like pretty much perfectly. As soon as it passes the sign, now when you hit the sign, when you're passing the sign, you already need to be going that speed. But the way autopilot works as of now, as soon as you pass that sign, the car slows down, I mean, almost immediately in a good way, not, it doesn't slam the brakes or anything, to that new speed. So it's strange that beta doesn't do that, but it's, I mean, I guess it's its own system, so that might be why. So this fix, I think, is like not a big deal and will be welcomed by a lot of people as long as the car's not hitting the brakes too hard. Careful what you're asking for here, NHTSA, because you know, you don't want the car to pass the speed limit sign and slam on the brakes to get down to 25 or whatever the new speed is. So overall, I actually kind of like this. Like, come on, Tesla, like light a fire under their butt, fix some of these things that, you know, in the consumer's head is kind of easy. Like, why are you doing these dumb things? Now, from a coding perspective and all that, maybe it's still difficult. But from someone just sitting there using my car, I'm like, get these basic things right. Like, don't move into the right turn lane when you're supposed to go straight, you know, 10 feet before you're supposed to go through the intersection. Like, why are those things happening? So I kind of like it in a sense, like it makes Tesla kind of move forward. But the thing that is super annoying to me, and with the coverage and everything happening, is Remedy. Tesla will release an over-the-air software update like they always do, free of charge. Owner notification letters are expected to be mailed by April 15th. We'll get this over-the-air update like 2 weeks or more before that date approaches. So you'll have the over-the-air. We may get 2 or 3 updates by the time we get that letter in the mail. It's a waste of paper. They need to update and allow emails or something, because it's crazy that that's still required to send out a paper letter in the mail. Now, one part of this letter that I'm a little iffy on that I think is full self-driving beta software that allows a vehicle to exceed speed limits. Does that mean that NHTSA is going to make it so currently when you use full self-driving beta, you can actually set the speed to whatever you want using the scroll wheel or in the settings? But again, by default, without changing the settings, it goes, the car drives the speed limit. But if I'm in a downtown setting, I can crank that scroll wheel up to 85 miles per hour. Now, it doesn't mean the car's actually going to drive that. It'll follow the cars around. If it's unsure, it'll go slower than that. But the car will speed if you tell it to. But any car will speed if you tell it to, like meaning if you put the cruise control on or you put your foot on the accelerator, and NHTSA's not going after anyone for that. So this is where I get kind of confused on all these things, because any car can do all this stuff. Like, I see it every single day with humans, and, you know, it's a full self-driving system. It can be updated to be safer and all these things. So it's, you know, I'm kind of iffy there. I really hope NHTSA is not saying that beta can't go over the speed limit, because that will be unusable in a lot of situations for me. There are roads around me where the speed limit is, say, 50, and if you're going less than 60 on a 50, you just get tailgated, you get honked at, you get passed. And again, those people are breaking the law. I should be able to go 50. But in those situations, a lot of the time, I honestly don't feel safe going that slow because of the way the humans around me try to interact with my car and get angry and all those things. So yeah, that would be really bad for beta. That'd probably be the worst thing. But overall, I think whatever, like, we're gonna get a software update. And this is why all these dramatic articles are crazy, because beta gets software updates constantly. So if you talk about it in that way, full self-driving beta has had over 100 recalls since it's been released. And, you know, these articles are talking about how it's so unsafe, it needs a recall, and even when you get this update, it's still going to be dangerous and all this stupid stuff. So, you know, I think a lot of the people that are regulars on my channel, like, get it, but I'm hoping this reaches at least some people, because there's been a lot of texts of like, oh my gosh, I heard your self-driving car needs to be recalled. And like, I thought we'd kind of be, moved on and people would kind of be saturated with that and it wouldn't be so clickable and go viral and all that stuff. But it's still, to this day, I guess people don't get it, and they text me and they go, oh my gosh, I heard your car had a recall. Like, is everything okay? Do you have to take it in? Like, people don't get it. It's strange to me and to a lot of people that are regulars on the channel, but I guess the majority of the population still isn't used to this yet or whatever. So, if you know somebody, send them this video so they can see like real facts or whatever. And the nice thing is if they still think this is crazy and should be off the roads, then that's their opinion. At least they're not getting like fear-mongered into thinking that, because yeah, it's really crazy. Man, I'm glad NHTSA wasn't paying attention when beta was first released, because that was ridiculous. Beta was like all over the place. I mean, go look at my like first, second, fifth video. Beta was like swerving into other cars and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, like any car, if the driver is paying sufficient attention, there shouldn't be a problem. You just grab the wheel when it does something wrong, or touch the brake, or push up on the stop, whatever. I mean, beta at this point is on almost 400,000 cars, and there's been no catastrophes. I mean, there have been accidents that we've kind of heard of, like Wham Bam Tesla Cam has posted at least one of them, and you hear on Twitter somebody will post their Sentry mode or their Tesla Cam footage, but there hasn't been like a huge like crash that was proven to be on beta, and then there was a huge investigation and all this stuff. So overall, beta seems to be beta in its current implementation with the overwatch of a human seems to be safer than your average driver, because it's getting into accidents at a lower rate than even the average Tesla, I believe, but definitely less than the average car. So person plus beta is safer than the average driver. That's just what we have today. That's the data we have today. I just want to throw that out there. It's, it's another software update. Like, you have all this hubbub about something that's happened to beta well over 100 times at this point since it's been released. And these problems that NHTSA is identifying, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they have all their own testing they do and verification, and they have to get it repeated so many times per mile, or, whatever. I'd actually love to know how they pick out what they want to complain about, because there's a lot more problems than that. But they could look at my YouTube videos or anyone else's now that so many people have beta and post on YouTube and see the same problems. And they could have seen those for 2 years now. They could have seen these things. So it's interesting to me that it is on the road for so long, and then now for whatever reason, they've decided, okay, we're gonna do this. Now maybe Tesla has fixed all these things, and that's why they said to NHTSA, yeah, sure, let's agree to do this recall. And then we're gonna get like version 11, and it's gonna be the most amazing thing, haha. So overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely look forward to talking to you down in the comments on this one. Hit like, get subscribed, and you will see me in the next video.